You learn something new every day. This past week, I learned that there are snakes around here. I've never seen one before that. Do you know how I found it? Yeah, the fucker bit me. You'd think it'd be while I was doing something crazy and strenuous, but no. I was on a walk. I accidentally stepped on its tail, and it didn't take that very well. I was fortunate that it happened to not be poisonous, but man, did that shit hurt. Honestly, this really hasn't been my week. The weather has been all over the place, hot one day and cold again the next. As I type this, one of my nostrils has sealed shut. Carl has been making us ice skate, of all things. Now, I really don't consider myself a nimble guy. Due to this fact, my face has gotten real acquainted with the frozen lake that we practice on. I even fell through once, which, as you can imagine, wasn't a pleasant experience. At least the water didn't feel as cold, thanks to the swimming that we've been doing in it. Still, that was a pain in the ass. Alright, now that I've gotten all my gripes of the week off my chest, I'm going to continue where I left off on the last post. Tensions were high as we were going up the steps. There was an eerie silence accompanying us. We didn't know what to expect, which made it even worse. Naturally, we made sure to be as silent as we could, slowly when we opened the door. Peeking inside, there was nobody in the area. It was so quiet, every step we took echoed. After a while, I couldn't stand the silence anymore. I needed to say something. So I did, taking care to keep my voice down. "Where do you think they went?" I asked. "How should I know?" Mikey replied. "Something might have gotten to them." "Why don't you try your radio again?" He tried it again, and this time we did hear something different. However, it didn't come from his radio. Rather, it was coming from another one nearby. We went to investigate it, finding the hand radio on the floor. We knew who it belonged to based on its color. Finding it by itself was already a bad sign. What disturbed us even more were the streaks of blood near it, as if Blue had gotten wounded and dragged away before he could use it to call for help. "Do you think he's dead?" Nick asked. "Maybe not," Carl answered. "This doesn't look like enough blood loss to have been fatal, but I bet he's in bad shape." Very observational, Mikey told him. But that doesn't explain what happened to him or the others, and there's 1,001 things here that could have caused this. The only thing we could do was to keep looking. We found the weapons room. It was in complete disarray. The objects were scattered everywhere. Pools of blood covered parts of the floor. "What the?" I said. "Are those teeth?" We found handfuls here and there. Despite what we've seen thus far, there wasn't a single body to be found. You'd think not seeing any dead bodies would serve to lower the tension. Instead, that only served to unsettle us further. Mikey contacted members of the other wings, asking if Blue and the others were with them. When they all answered no, he sighed in frustration, returning his hand radio to his pocket. I'm going to need to hit the scotch when I get home. Alright, so we've got an entire wing missing, and no idea why. The way I see it, we're only putting ourselves in danger by staying here. Besides, we need to get that fog back in containment. That was fine by us. Therefore, we walked to the nearest wing with no trouble whatsoever. Yeah, like hell we did, because of course, it can't be that simple. Even walking from point A to point B Can't be easy for us, apparently. What horror awaited for us this time? Well, Blue and the others, actually. We saw them step out from behind a corner as we were walking. Oddly enough, none of them were wearing helmets. "Blue," Mikey exclaimed, "where the hell have you guys been?" He didn't respond, only stared blankly, and so did those with him. Mikey repeated his name. Carl, me, and Nick looked at each other. We knew some shit was about to go down. Without warning, Blue and the other guards all let out these ear-piercing shrieks. It sounded like the kind of noise insects would make. "Oh, God," Mikey said, turning pale. "It's the connector. Run!" He screamed out the command, and we booked it. They gave chase. "Let's hide in the weapons room," I suggested to him. "No, too obvious. They can get in anywhere with their key cards. We need it to be somewhere where we can barricade ourselves in." We practically jumped down the stairs when we reached them. We knew that if we could get out of the horde's sight, it would put us at a much greater advantage. "Wait," Mikey said, pointing. "There." We turned, heading into an open door, which was the cook's entrance to the kitchen. "None of the equipment here is bolted down. Help me move it." We pushed what we could against all the entrances to the kitchen. Not even a second later did we hear rapid pounding on the doors. "Do you think that'll hold?" Nick asked. "It should," Mikey replied, taking his hand radio back out. As he was informing the others of our current predicament, my eyes drifted to the fridge. It was then that it dawned on me. I hadn't eaten since morning. Ferocious growling, accompanied by a sharp pang, shot through my stomach. Obviously, I couldn't take my helmet off, as it would have blown our cover. Maybe I can just lift it partially, I thought. No, wait. That might make me look suspicious. "You might want to get some grub while we're here," Mikey told us. "It's going to be a bit before help arrives." He went over to the fridge, opening it, and grabbing what looked to be a turkey club sandwich. "What's wrong?" he asked us. "The food isn't poisonous, if that's what you're worried about. They wouldn't have had enough time for that." Now I was beginning to think if we didn't eat anything, he would find that odd as well. "We think it would be safer if we keep our helmets on in case they get through," I told him. "Then just lift the mouthpiece." "Huh?" "The mouthpiece. That model has an adjustable one, right?" "Oh, yeah, thanks for reminding me. This isn't usually the kind I wear." That was a close one. It's not much of an exaggeration to say that we tore into the food like wild animals. While tearing into some hearty, albeit cold beefaroni and cheese, I noticed another fridge. "Anything good in there?" I inquired, pointing at it with my fork. "Hell no," Mikey responded, looking at me with disgust. "That's filled with all the rotten shit that we feed to prisoners." "Oh, sorry. It's been a while since I've been in here." Carl was enjoying a large chicken wrap filled with crunchy vegetables. Nick helped himself to several drumsticks of fried chicken, which he alternated between topping with honey mustard and hot sauce. His face became covered in grease, so he wiped it with the sleeve of his uniform. We then helped ourselves to some Gatorade. Carl and Nick drank the original, aka lemon lime flavor. Mikey helped himself to some fruit punch kind. I enjoyed the thirst-quenching green apple. While we drank, Nick pointed something concerning out. He paused, lowering his bottle in order to take a breather. "By the way," he said, wiping away the excess Gatorade off of his chin with the back of his glove, "does anyone else find it weird that we aren't hearing them anymore?" He was referring to the connector. Once again, Mikey's expression shifted into one of worry, which caused us to worry as well. I silently wish that for just once, things could be easier for us in these kind of situations. My wishes were answered by a fast beeping coming from the doors. "Get down," he yelled. The kitchen shook as the doors were blown off their hinges, knocking us away with force. Our only bit of good luck was that the tanks containing the fog miraculously weren't damaged. Also, the fact our injuries weren't a lot worse, thanks to our body armor. That did little to balance out with the ringing in my ears, not to mention the vicious pain now shooting throughout my body. "What the hell?" I groaned, lifting my head. Much to my dismay, Blue, along with the other guards, were now coming into the kitchen. Now was the time to use lethal force. Unfortunately, I was unable to make my arm respond to pull my handgun from my belt. Crawl and the others were also unable to defend themselves. We could only watch as they walked closer to us, arms outstretched. What I saw next sent strong feelings of helplessness down my spine. Thin feelers shot from their mouths, wriggling around. Christ, was that unnerving, and the worst part was, we couldn't defend ourselves as they started stretching toward us. I have to stop here because honestly, describing that gives me the creeps something fierce. Unless you were there, you'll never know exactly how unsettling viewing that was. I'm I'm going to take my mind off it with something to eat, grilled cheese and some cherry Dr. Pepper. We'll see you next time. Bye everyone.